You found your way to Whispers of Crimes, a quiet corner where the shadows of the past are gently told. Here, we speak of real crimes and mysteries, not to shock or scare, but to wonder, to reflect, and maybe to help you fall asleep. So close your eyes, let your thoughts slow down, and come with me into tonight's case. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most chilling and mysterious cases in recent history, the Delphi murders. On February 13th, 2017, two young girls, Libby German, and Abigail, Abby Williams, set off on a hike in the woods near their small town of Delphi, Indiana. It was supposed to be a simple afternoon outing for these two best friends, two young teens eager to explore the outdoors. Little did they know that this innocent trip would take a dark and tragic turn. Chapter 1. The Tragic Event. Libby, 14 years old, and Abby, 13, were familiar with the High Bridge Trail, a well-known trail that wound through the woods just outside of Delphi. The girls were dropped off around 1 p.m. and planned to spend the next few hours walking and enjoying their time in the fresh air. They texted their families throughout the afternoon, keeping in touch as they explored. But when 3:15 p.m. came and went, and the girls failed to return, panic began to set in. By 5 p.m., after repeated attempts to contact them, their families realized something was terribly wrong. Their phones went unanswered, and there was no sign of them on the trail. Desperate, the community and police began searching for the two girls. What started as a missing persons case soon escalated into something far more disturbing when the search led to a tragic discovery the following day. Chapter 2. The search begins. The search for Libby and Abby began just hours after they went missing, and it quickly became clear that something was amiss. With temperatures dropping and nightfall approaching, the search efforts intensified. Volunteers from Delphi and surrounding areas joined law enforcement, combing through the dense woods near the High Bridge. The weather was harsh and the area was sprawling, making it difficult for searchers to cover the entire region. But the sense of urgency was palpable. By the early morning hours of February 14th, 2017, nearly 24 hours after the girls were last seen, their bodies were discovered in a remote section of the woods. They were found about half a mile from the bridge, off the main trail. The discovery sent shockwaves through the community, but it also confirmed the worst. These girls, who were so full of life, had been brutally murdered. The residents of Delphi, a small town where everyone knew each other, now had to face the painful reality that someone in their community had committed a heinous crime. Law enforcement quickly shifted from search mode to investigation mode. As the town grappled with the horror of what had occurred, the police worked tirelessly to gather evidence and determine what had happened to these two young girls. Little did they know that this case, with its shocking turn of events, would stretch on for years with few answers. Chapter 3. The disturbing evidence within days of the bodies being discovered. Investigators received a crucial piece of evidence that would change the course of the investigation, a video and audio recording. It turned out that Libby German, in a desperate act of courage, had managed to record a brief but chilling snippet of her final moments. Libby's phone had captured footage of a man approaching them on the bridge, walking toward them. His image, though blurred, was visible. The video showed the man walking on the bridge, his figure partially obscured by the weathered wooden planks, but his movements were unsettling. The audio from the recording was even more chilling. Libby's phone captured the man speaking the haunting words, "Down the hill." The words, which are believed to have been spoken as he directed the girls away from the bridge and down a steep hill, sent a shiver down the spine of everyone who heard them. This evidence became the focal point of the investigation. Investigators released a brief portion of the video and an audio recording of the words, "down the hill," hoping the public might help identify the man. It was a difficult decision, as the footage was far from conclusive, but it was a lead they couldn't ignore. The image of this man, combined with the audio, became one of the most powerful clues in the case. Yet, despite the intense focus on this video, the man's identity remained unknown. Chapter 4. The investigation intensifies. As the weeks passed, the investigation grew larger and more complex. The case caught the attention of the FBI, and agents joined local authorities in the hunt for the killer. This was no longer just a local case. It had turned into a national sensation. The police and FBI deployed resources, experts, and technology to try to track down the killer, but progress remained slow. Authorities released a composite sketch of the man seen in the video, who appeared to be in his 40s. His face was described as having a distinctive appearance, with a sharp jawline and a downturned expression. Police also released more details, including the possibility that the suspect had been familiar with the area, as the crime scene was not far from the town. Despite all these efforts, the killer remained elusive. The sketch, though widely circulated, didn't lead to any solid leads. At the same time, the investigators worked to piece together what had happened during those final moments. The girls were last seen walking on the bridge, and the fact that Libby had managed to capture evidence before their deaths was a stroke of luck, but also a tragedy. Many of the leads generated by the public were false or unhelpful, which only added to the frustration of law enforcement and the families of the victims. The case seemed to stall, and for months, there were no new developments. The town of Delphi, once a peaceful and quiet place, had become overshadowed by the darkness of this unsolved crime. Chapter 5. The public's role. The Delphi murders case caught the attention of the public like few others. With little to go on in terms of leads or evidence, true crime enthusiasts, online communities, and even armchair detectives began to take an active interest. Social media became a platform for discussing theories, sharing ideas, and analyzing the available evidence. Hashtags like #DelphiMurders spread quickly, and the case became a topic of conversation across the world. While some public involvement was constructive, it also became a double-edged sword. Misinformation spread rapidly, and false suspects were publicly named, leading to confusion and frustration. People speculated about the killer's identity, motives, and behavior, but these theories were based mostly on speculation rather than concrete evidence. Law enforcement had to constantly remind the public to avoid jumping to conclusions and to report only verified information. Despite these challenges, the public's role was not entirely in vain. Tips continued to come in from the community and beyond, and the police followed every lead. Still, the case remained unsolved, and the sense of helplessness grew. The tragedy affected not only Libby and Abby's families, but the entire town of Delphi. Everyone hoped for answers, but the darkness surrounding the case seemed impenetrable. Chapter 6. The arrest of Richard Allen in October 2022. More than 5 years after the murders, a major development in the case finally came to light. Law enforcement announced the arrest of Richard Allen, a local man, in connection with the killings. Allen, who had lived in Delphi for years, had been interviewed early in the investigation but had not been considered a suspect until much later. The arrest was a dramatic turning point in the case. Richard Allen was charged with 2 counts of murder in the deaths of Libby and Abby. The news sent shockwaves through the community, but questions remained. How did Allen go from being an initial witness to a suspect? What evidence led investigators to focus on him after so many years? Details surrounding the arrest were sparse, and law enforcement has been tight-lipped about the specifics of the evidence they gathered. This has led to further speculation about the nature of the case and how Allen may have been linked to the crime. The arrest sparked a mix of relief and frustration. While some hoped that justice would finally be served, others were left wondering how the case had remained unsolved for so long. For the families of Libby and Abby, the arrest was a bittersweet step toward closure, but there was still much left to uncover. Chapter 7. The road to justice. As the case progresses through the legal system, there is still a long road ahead. Richard Allen's trial will likely provide more answers, but until then, the mystery of the Delphi murders remains far from fully solved. The community of Delphi, forever changed by the loss of 2 young lives, is clinging to the hope that justice will be served. Libby and Abby's story is one of unimaginable grief, but it is also a story of resilience. Despite the pain and uncertainty, their families have fought relentlessly to keep their memory alive and to seek justice. The town of Delphi, united in its grief and determination, continues to hold its breath as the legal process unfolds. While the case may be on the brink of resolution, the journey to justice is far from over. As the trial approaches, the public will continue to watch closely, hoping that the truth will finally be revealed and that the person responsible for this terrible crime will be held accountable. Conclusion: the Delphi murders case is a somber reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of justice. As we wait for the trial and the closure that Libby and Abby's families so desperately deserve, we can only reflect on the haunting reality that a small-town tragedy has become a national mystery. The hope is that one day, the full story will be revealed, and the killer will face the consequences of their actions. Until then, we remember Libby and Abby, the 2 young girls whose lives were taken too soon, and we continue to pray for justice and for the healing of those who love them. That's all for tonight's story. Another thread in the web of true crime, quietly unraveling as the night goes on. If you're still with me, thanks for listening. And if sleep has already taken you, may your dreams be peaceful and your mind at ease. I'll be here next time by the fire with another story waiting to be told. Good night, and don't forget to lock your doors.